win the dice roll? Because I'm wondering,
Yeah,
I think Ilian's deck maybe is set up to go second. It's very possible, because the Magical Musketeers kind of lean into going second with the extremely powerful Link 1 that requires your opponent to have monsters in play already, or spells and traps on the field. And for each of those, you can either special summon a couple of monsters, or add a couple of spells and traps to your hand. So maybe you don't mind going second at all. Maybe you even choose to go second, but we don't know for sure. But we do know for sure that Samir likes to go first with his Spright deck.
Yep, been a while, but the deck still has a lot of tools, and as you can see here, great opening with the starter plus the blue.
Yeah, you can trust Samir to keep us up to date with all of the latest Spright technology. How many different ways can you make the Toad?
Yeah, and as you mentioned on the other side, obviously it will be an interesting one. We did see the Inkabui play the Magical Muskets, so that deck is definitely there. But oh, an Ash Blossom, interesting, not on the starter, but on the blue.
Yeah, that is interesting. I guess it's quite difficult to know where to interrupt Spright, because they're all kind of much the same. Like if you negate the starter, they might get to a blue anyway, or if they negate, you know, if you negate the gigantic, you kind of have to negate the blue, because then otherwise your opponent might search a red, and then the red will negate your Ash.
At
so
the
maybe
same
that was
time,
the plan.
The thing is, if the starter gets you the blue, you're gonna Ash it. So
just
I
negate
think
it.
Might as well just Ash the starter maybe. But I mean, this is the old combo that we saw from Samir even in London. Just not using anything too new. But here is a new card that he didn't, I mean not new, but like a card that he wasn't playing back in the day, which is the one copy of the Sunfish. So I'm gonna bring it up for you guys on screen. Just an additional, I guess, nimble target.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it doesn't actually, I don't think you could use its effect, right? Because he's only running the one nimble Sunfish in his deck. So I think he's literally just running it to have 4 nimble monsters to summon off the Angler. So maybe he has a plan to resolve that Angler twice in a turn.
And now we're gonna see whether he's gonna access another part of his deck, but no, it is gonna be the Swap Frog. So we know where that is leading. So
if you think about it, if he would have Ash the starter, we will not be witnessing this, right?
Yeah, I mean Samir would have had to have a different card in his hand, right, to get going.
Yeah. And this is, though, a new part of the deck. So the Ice Barriers are played in a just 1-on-1 in the deck. And this is because you can send the monster through Swap Frog. And then when that card is sent to the graveyard, you get to add the spell, which is played also as a one-off. And that allows you to special summon back the Ice Barrier, giving you easy access to Totally Awesome. So a nice little addition into the deck. And this is exactly what we're going to see from Samir.
That's very cool. I thought you had to summon the Ice Barrier monster, but no, you can just send it straight with Swap Frog. The Swap Frog now is just a 1-card Toad.
And there it is. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah, I like this.
As you mentioned, keeping us updated with the new tech for the Spright deck. And now we get to see the Silhouette Rabbit. So interesting start. I think this is definitely quite powerful.
Yeah, Silhouette Rabbit, it's kind of one of those generic tools almost now. Any deck can use it to add a little extra push if you've got a couple of monsters lying around. I mean, it's almost like, I feel like now we've seen Appaloosa be forbidden. It's like maybe we're going to see an uptick for the Silhouette Rabbit. It's just something you can do with a couple of monsters to give your board a little extra oomph right at the end there, give you a way to destroy a spell or trap or negate a summon.
Yeah.
Obviously, the big downside is having to run an extra trap card in your deck.
What is this? Okay.
What?
This is the new Spright. You also play some Labyrinth cards afterwards.
Exactly, imagine. And now in the standby phase, we can actually summon another Swap Frog from the deck. The only downside, obviously, is the Trust if your opponent is playing it, but I guess it will be an interesting one, because as you mentioned, his opponent can actually grind really well going second with the Magical Musket card. So
yeah, that Musketeer max, if you can get it to resolve, Samir's got 5 spells and traps, so if you resolved it, you would summon 5 monsters, but resolving it is easier said than done. Especially when that Toad is in play. So one of the sneaky tricks to resolve it is to have something like droplets in your hand. If your opponent tries to negate it, you can chain the droplets, get it off the field, and make it hard.
Okay.
But with that Toad, you can just straight up negate it, and the droplets won't have anything to say about that.
the Tractus is not really an indicator of what deck he's playing. So for now, Samir is not going to be surprised yet. This could very well be just a Jubel deck, especially because we have seen players actually playing more than one copy of Tractus. Now that they have to obviously rely on something different than the Beatrice, and it makes a lot of sense in the combos. But this is not Jubel, I can tell you that much.
You never know, there might be a sneaky Ubal card in there some way.
You never know. And yeah, now we are going to activate Lurie. Okay, and this prompts Samir to actually go and activate his first potentially interruption with the angel statue.
Quite nice this, because it will get the Requiem off the field. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that the Requiem wasn't summoned properly, because it'll still be in the graveyard and it can still equip itself to a Light Fiend if needs be. What has Ilian got left up his sleeve? Yeah, like, I don't think it being summoned properly actually matters, because you never summon it out of the grave, you just put it straight back into the extra deck.
Okay, the Bestial is decent, obviously the Force Aura negation, but we know the double cross is face down from Samir, and that is huge, especially when having the versatility of both the Link and the XYZ. You can use both, you know, different effects of the trap card. But it's gonna resolve. And I mean, this still smells like Jubel if you are Samir. Yeah.
Oh.
I think
so
just double cross.
Just get out the double cross. Yeah.
Double cross is used. So for now, still keeping some information with those two face downs, which are what we didn't know. I'm expecting maybe a starter.
Oh, that's he's got a good pile of cards left, actually. He has a Prosperity, and a Deer 7, and a Magical Musketeer.
Okay.
Is that in the Deer 7? Am I right? Or is that a different card?
No.
Or is that the Fiendsmith?
Isn't it the Magical Musket?
You don't need a Magical Musket to use, I think.
Yeah. I don't know. Can't quite tell what it is. Definitely not on a Deer Servant, I can tell you that much.
It's the Sanct. That's not so useful, actually, the Sanct, once you've already lost your Requiem, assuming there's only one copy of Requiem.
Yeah, you basically summon a token on the field, and...
But funnily enough, you can equip the token with the Requiem, and then link it up, or sort of level it up into a Princess, right?
So this is still not obvious as to what deck your opponent is playing, and now, as you can see, they are just trying to debate whether you can use the effect in the graveyard. Ooh, but we're playing two copies.
Wow, okay.
You can see Samir actually being like, oh, okay.
That's got to be a little confusing, yeah. I think probably they were checking, because Requiem can only be special summoned once per turn. So maybe that's what they needed to double check, because the summon was negated.
Yeah.
As to whether you can then go ahead and try and summon it again. When you say it can only be special summon once per turn, it does make you wonder what two copies are doing in his deck, but if for exactly this situation, I guess is very helpful. Yep. And having all of those extra Light Fiends, like we mentioned, in the Magical Musketeers might mean that you need to have more copies of the Fiendsmiths in your extra deck to make sure that there's always some available to turn your Magical Musketeers into.
Yeah, the good news is the battle phase is not anymore there, so Samir is not entirely forced to use Totally Awesome at the effect now, and he's playing it as lower.
Well, he has to use it at some point, right? Because otherwise the Fiendsmith Engraver effect will try and destroy it. But
okay, but we do have an impermanence. Let's keep in mind the column, but I mean, for now.
You always got to keep in mind the column. Ian's doing a great job here. There's been a lot of interruptions. There's been the double cross, the imperm. There's still the toad to look forward to. But
and now he's gonna send back the copy that was negated. And no Beatrice, of course, but we can still go and make the sequence. Thinking we could have a starter, but maybe we would have used it.
It's going to allow the sequence. It feels like the sort of thing you ought to negate, because it gets quite a lot of value if you negate and destroy the sequence.
Maybe he has another impermanence.
The only problem, I guess, with this is, again, looking back at the Requiem. Like, you could have just prevented all of this by negating that, but I guess played it a little slower, and now he's out of interruptions outside of this mysterious face down.
Oh, he's really holding on to his normal summon, Ilian, here. Yeah, maybe he wants something to deal with the face down.
I mean, this makes a lot of sense, because if you now go for a Musket, they could be out of interruptions, and then you can use the Link 1 to just get a little bit of an advantage. I'm gonna shuffle the deck.
But Samir's run out of cards, so the Link 1 is more powerful the more cards your opponent has. I mean, he's going to have at least 2 monsters on the field, right? So
no way. Okay, now finally the deck is revealed. I was about to say no cards, but like there is a Musket in there.
That is the
trap card, yeah.
Yeah, that trap card can negate your opponent's spell trap, but I can't remember the name of it.
I think it's no, maybe the
last stand,
last stand, right?
And it's a counter trap, so it's very difficult to interact with for Samir, unless he has a counter trap of his own. What's he having a look at?
But not the ideal, honestly.
No,
I mean, it was honestly looking.
Does he not have?
Does he
not have his own? I thought he had a Musketeer in his hand, but maybe I was mistaken.
Yeah, it looked like he had a monster as the last card in hand. He hasn't used the Engraver effect from hand, so he could still search.
But he's used both both Veensmith spells already. If it was a Musketeer, then surely...
I think he passed.
Did he pass?
Maybe,
wow.
Maybe we were wrong.
Wow.
Complete miss on the Musket from the Prosperity. Kind of unfortunate. And this gives Samir one hell of a turn where he can easily probably try and push for game. First of all, he's going to get the third Swap Frog.
All the Swap Frogs.
And yeah, this is actually so strong. I mean, with the Gigantic, you can pretty much easily close this one out.
Yeah, that Silhouette Rabbit's going to put in so much work. It's still there as a rank 2.
And this is already 54, so once you special summon a blue, this could just be it. So
is that not a Musketeer in his hand?
Is it?
It looks like it.
He's considering using it, so that would make...
Maybe I'm just... maybe we might...
No, I know it's a Dogmatic. Okay, makes sense.
That's the Fleur de Lis.
The Fleur, right?
Yeah.
The problem is it doesn't do anything, because like
No, it's just
you need like yeah.
It's a mean way to talk about a card.
I know. I know. No, it would have been really good with another Dogmatica, but like on his own, it's pretty much a worse Phantasme, I would say. So
It might protect his life points, but
I don't think this is gonna change much, to be fair, because now he can go Jet Red or Blue, whatever. I mean, I think he can easily seal this one.
there is another trap card, so you might just have open double impermanence, Samir. So
yeah, maybe all of our like pontificating about whether he was going to get to resolve his Musket was not important if there was just an impermanence face down the whole time.
I think because like this is 54, 26. Yeah, you can just. I'm not sure if he plays like which Spright spells he plays. I guess. Like
Yeah, he plays as Smasher.
yeah. Does he play?
Has he got
Gamma
another
as well?
sprint?
The Gamma Burst.
In the side deck.
And yeah, here you see the reason why he's playing 4 copies of the Nimbles.
I guess it makes sense to have like an extra push, because I think some of the complaints people have about the Spright deck nowadays, since the alpha's been forbidden, is that you don't have too much to do on your second turn after you make your big impressive field on turn 1, but having those extra Nimbles will make a difference.
We are hearing some sounds. Can confirm that indeed I was welcomed in Lille by a few mosquitoes, and now we can see it in action on the table as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And there it is. Game 1 goes to Eren Storm. So, I mean...
Samir is going first, huh?
Yeah. Makes sense. We saw through the side X. Makes a lot of sense to me. Good decision, and he's rewarded. He has the Ash Blossom. Again, the same decision as last time. But this time he lets it go through.
Samir's got to make a decision, though, with this. I think he has a shifter in his hand, but if you activate shifter, you turn off your own copies of Nimble Angler. So is it worth it?
And yeah, now the Ash is gone. Because like this red is there. Obviously can still be used.
I mean, it's still a little annoying, right? If you Ash now, you have to tribute the sprint, but...
Yeah, I guess.
It's kind of like one monster no matter where you throw it, right? Because if it negates... Yeah. If it negates the blue, then you don't get a red, but then you'll probably get to the red later somehow, so...
But no, he decides to keep it in his hand, and as you can see, Samir is still able to completely continue. This is where he would probably go and search for the Swap Frog, and this Ash does absolutely nothing, so I don't know if we are gonna use it. So
Here it depends if he wants to go for the Swap Frog. Oh, what?
I think he actually has 2 copies of it, so...
Maybe it's an Ash Chain Nib situation. What do you reckon?
I don't actually think so, but yeah, let's see. Obviously, you're gonna try and make your opponent think, but yeah, that's not the case. And now Nibiru is off the question. And did we keep the Swap Frogs with it? Looking good.
But did he keep the Ice Barrier cards to go with the Swap Frogs?
Of course
he did.
Of course.
With the shifters.
No, but it makes sense, Tom. This was, I think, the same thing that you usually do, because like if you start things off with the shifter, you can then end up with the Gigantic plus red or either Jet and the double cross. If that's the case, if you don't see a shifter, you just go for this. And I think that's what Samir said. I think it's this lineup is even better. Yeah, I mean it makes. I mean, look at this. Yeah, he also had the starter. So
what happened to the continuous?
I think yeah, he mixed it up with the. With the starter.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. I mean, he does have a lot of really strong cards for going second. That is Ilian, because obviously both Lightning Storm and especially Ultimate Slayer, I think, can be really strong against Samir. But I don't see a lot of engine.
Yeah. I mean, that Ash we were talking about might not have been super relevant, but on the other hand, it's going to stop Samir having an extra body on the field, which would probably be turned into a Silhouette Rabbit. So I guess this can just be turned straight into a Silhouette Rabbit now. So
I like this.
Maybe not so helpful.
It could be that he sided out the double cross for imagining going second, and he kept you know, his Smashers instead, which is what we is going to set. This is a very strong opening from Samir. So, let's take a look.
He's making you crane your neck for it again. You got to wait and see, Macho. Here we go.
Are we going to get a magical musket this time around?
Oh,
doesn't seem like it. Yeah.
See a Droplet, a Veiler.
I think it's just a Slayer and then...
A Droplet, Veiler, Ash, Ultimate Slayer, and last card we can't tell. So it's...
Wasn't it the Lightning Storm? Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This end is actually... like, doesn't do anything outside of clearing your opponent cards. Like, you... It's tough to play your own game, I guess.
But if you can clear all of the monsters on the Spright field, like, what does Spright do?
Or can you? That's the problem.
That's a good question. Between like the Storm and the Slayer?
How do you get rid of... Yeah. And as you can see here, Samir is actually going to tribute totally, preventing the Droplet from possibly negating it. And I guess he's considering chaining Droplet just to prevent the Storm from being stolen, but I mean...
Or maybe just to... I mean, it doesn't resolve the Storm.
No, it doesn't, but like, you can negate the red, but the problem is, how do you play? Like, I guess, is he going Typhon? Because that's the only card maybe he can access with like a normal summon of a Veiler.
Yeah, I think that's the only line.
Maybe, if he is using it.
No, he's not even playing it.
Okay, perfect. great news for him.
So he's going to negate the red.
Yeah,
And then what?
I guess we can fish for a draw with the Slayer sending like the Garura if he's playing the engine.
I'm not seeing
No.
a Garura, so...
Okay. Plan C. We come. Yeah, I mean, you gotta go for this.
You got to try something. There's nothing that gets you to your engine with Ultimate Slayer, is there? There's no...
Because usually if you play like Winch Beast, you can send like Tri-Brigade cards. And this is...
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, what
you just basically draw a card and put one back, right?
Yeah.
does it
Which-
not search? Oh, so
No,
you
no,
play
no.
this over Garura.
Yeah, which is strictly worse. But
Well,
I
it
guess
has
it
more
saves you an
attack.
extra deck
Oh,
space.
it drew evenly.
No, because what you can do is you play the Tri-Brigade Link and then that sends you the Garura, usually.
Oh, I see, okay.
So, but the problem is it's 2 extra deck spaces instead of 1, I guess. But obviously like a +1 compared to this, which just shuffles you back. What was the card? Evenly? Okay, interesting.
I mean, it's going to do some work here, isn't it?
Yeah, but then we go into top deck mode with an Ash Blossom, which is fair, but like Samir has 3 cards in his hand.
One is Shifter, one is Swap Frog.
Yeah, and here is everything.
Oh, and he's keeping the Azaroon.
Okay.
So maybe not so much for Samir to do on his next turn.
And yeah, pass, and now Samir has so many good draws, gonna allow his opponent to cut his deck as he shuffle for the Totally Awesome. And now let's take a look at this top deck from Samir. This could be it.
Yeah, but he already has
I
the
think it
Nimble
was a jet,
beer. Yeah, but he has the Nimble plus the blue
Yeah.
in hand, so it's I think it's already enough.
Yeah, this is going to be so good. Even if this gets Ash Blossom, this might be a quick one for Samir. And you can see Leon really debating this time around with this failure. And no, allows it. And yeah, it is a jet and it is a blue. Yeah, that is amazing stuff from Samir.
Yeah, there's not so much you can do with a single Veiler. Like, you can hold it and hope that hitting the Gigantic is going to get you there, but
And I mean,
still the Azaroon to deal with
the
any
worst-
of your potential top decks.
yeah, the worst part of this is Samir now exactly knows what's in there. Like, if he had a doubt before between like an Ash Blossom, now he knows that, yeah, it's that kind of card. But yeah, this jet is just devastating. And I'm pretty sure you can find a way to just deal enough. And this is what he's thinking about. It's also possible that since he thought he was going second, he brought in the Gamma Burst from the side deck. So yeah.
No, it makes. I mean, I would be surprised if he didn't side it in with the idea of going
Yeah,
second.
especially with the shifters, like
Yeah.
it makes so much sense
Yeah.
that that would be the gameplay. So let's see if that is the case. Oh no, it wasn't a jet, it was actually the carrot. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Great card, I love that card. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just allows you to play so many interesting cards in the side deck.
Complete rank 2 toolbox on display from Samir.
And yeah, as always, great execution from Samir. Now being able to access once again his deck. And almost set up a checkmate.
Yeah, between the red, the Azaroon, it's hard to imagine what Ilian could top deck.
Yeah, you can see him counting down the life to figure out whether he has enough. I mean, if he has the Gamma Burst, this is surely enough with another Gigantic maybe. But
You can just summon a Sprint from your grave.
yeah, and with Gigantic into Jet into Gamma Burst, this is easily game.
Yeah.
You probably don't even need that, but
Yeah, because the Gigantic is
Let's see.
3,200.
Jet coming down. Are we adding it? No, we are not. We probably, as mentioned, yeah, we don't need it. This is plenty of damage for Samir, and what a way to fight back in this game. You can see him just counting the life points, and there it is.